Okay, so I just heard the strangest sound. It was like someone taking a couple of rocks and just banging them together really fast. And then just like a sound of something substantial just in the bush. And we're talking about maybe 20 feet away from me.
In a remote tract of forested land in Alberta, Canada, I'm attempting to get some answers about the controversial creature known as Bigfoot. I'm here with Todd Standing, who is one of the best in the field on the subject of this elusive and quite possibly fictitious creature. His theory is that there are purposely broken trees and massive tree structures made in ways that seem highly unlikely to be by natural causes or by the hand of man. He claims that they are for communication, markings of territory. I come in as a skeptic, and I've been led here by my own experiences of unexplainable occurrences that raised the hair on the back of my neck and left me baffled and perplexed in the Alaskan wilderness. So now I've put myself in the middle of a bowl-like bit of topography, deep in the forest, to be as vulnerable as possible, to give the beasts of the forests the upper hand. They have the high ground. I have the disadvantage. I've heard wolves howl, but also deep and heavy thuds into the ground that I can actually feel as well as hear. With nothing more than my cameras and a belt knife and some extreme night vision lenses, I'm trying to see hundreds of yards into the dark forest. But what is it that I'm looking for?
It's been a few hours and nothing, really, just those thuds that I've felt in the ground. And it's getting cold, but no wind, no sound. Nothing's moving. Except for something that made the ground go thud. Huh. I just felt it again. Done a good job of spooking myself, that's for sure.
It's gonna be a long night. I don't sleep. I wait and listen in the dark by my fire, keeping it going mostly for psychological comfort more than anything else. I hear repeated thuds in the ground, and on several occasions, one lone wolf howling, but nothing more. The sun rises, and I'm no closer to the truth.
Well, it looks like I made it through the night relatively unscathed. Pretty calm night. There's a few things to question, for sure. There's some more areas that are pretty far in, where Todd has claims of a lot of activity. And that's where I'm headed next.
I'm headed many miles to the south, to the mountains, to the site where Todd Standing claims to have been nearly attacked by what he says were as many as 7 Sasquatch. From California to Alaska, these mountains hold hundreds of stories of encounters with a large, hairy, ape-like creature. The Aboriginal cultures here don't question its existence. They just accept it matter of fact. These mountains contain the highest level of Sasquatch sightings in the world. So it's right where I want to be. I want to know what I heard in Alaska, what I saw. I want to know what I heard in Northern Ontario. Maybe the reality will be, I can't find my answers. Maybe the answers will come to me. This is outside of an area known as Radium Springs, and there are plenty of claims of sightings. My mentioning it here doesn't give away some big secret. The hotspots for Bigfoot occurrences are well documented. The legend persists throughout much of the Northwest, the Rockies, and the Pacific coast. Inaccessibility is what this place has going for it, but modern equipment is making everything much easier. Still though, it's going to take going in on foot to truly challenge the notion of this creature's existence. The first evidence we explore are unnatural and possibly purposeful tree breaks. But this time, Todd Standing feels the broken trees indicate a warning to stay out. He feels he's pushed the envelope here, and it's annoyed the group of Bigfoot he claims live here. All the while, they watch the humans below log trees and mine for minerals. If they are here, what are they thinking as they watch?
This was my entrance in.
You used to come up here, you used to sneak down this trail?
That's right. These were definitely not here. So this is them saying, okay, we get it, you're sneaking in.
Yeah.
Don't do it anymore, you're not welcome.
This is their communication with you. This is fresh. I mean, these leaves are green.
Yeah.
That's been bent over by force. And it's not a moose. And do you think it's the same scenario that as the other location where they're saying, okay, you're good on that side, just don't come on this side?
I think this is, I've gone past the barrier already.
Yeah.
There's a wall of breaks there. So I've broken the barrier. And this is in my face. Look at the trail. It's like right there, and this is like in my face.
Yeah.
And they're all like that. They're not off to the side.
Right.
They're like almost barriers I have to push through.
Yeah.
They'll be busted right over the trail.
The tree breaks here seem to signify a message to stay out, whereas in other areas, they may signify acceptance, the marking of a territory. It's a, this is my side, and you can have that side, kind of message. We're headed to where Todd had the most terrifying night of his life.
I haven't used this as a base camp for 4 years, since the night they went ballistic on me. Started by throwing little rocks at me.
That's not unheard of at all, even worldwide. The whole concept of mysterious rocks being thrown out of the bush, that's not new.
No. But what was sucked about it was running, grunting, growling, throwing stuff at me.
This is where you were?
Right there, right by that rock. I used to sleep right beside it. This is where I saw the big guy. He walked up to a tree, stood beside the tree, and just shook it. But what was scary about it was he didn't move, and that tree was coming out of the ground.
So, which is what happened to me in Alaska.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same thing in Alaska. Dead calm, one tree.
I think they built this structure, and I wasn't much of a tree structure believer. Then I came back here and I was like, damn, that's pretty significant.
Like in many other areas, these tree structures stand out as different from the forest around them.
So this first tree, how could that have fallen naturally? Look at it, the way it's bent like that.
No, it looks wedged in, absolutely. It looks almost weaved. And you'd have to have some serious pull-down pressure to get it to do that. And even snow load's not going to be enough for that. You have to use your mind's eye with this. This tree was standing straight up. And for snow load or even rot, it's going to come down like that, right? It's going to come down straight. Now, it's going through a whole line of trees, like 1, 2, 3, 4, all these trees in different directions like this. To get down straight like this, all the way down, would have taken some serious grip and pressure to pull it down into position. At this point, it just doesn't seem plausible that snow load and wind could put that tree in that position. So it had to be something else. Now, this tree here, it doesn't even have a... And if you push it down, seeing the rot, seeing how this is here, you should see basically the same thing on the ground, same sort of age. And it's not there. The older members might be doing some kind of a structure. Are the younger ones actually watching their elders and following suit and practicing? And so we have this big tree structure over there that took some serious strength, and then we come here and we've got a smaller structure as if, you know, the teenager was practicing. This is really interesting.
Yeah. To keep the structure up, they'll find a little wedge on another tree, and then they'll pile a whole bunch of others on top of it. If that wedge was to fall, the structure would lose significant integrity.
I know I'm ruling out humans altogether. I'm ruling out you because basically these are old. They've been here for many years.
Yeah.
You couldn't have done this before I got here. And ruling out wind and rain, we really end up with snow load. And in the concept of snow load, that's why I do my trees one at a time. And I mean, this one, is almost hard to figure out and count because I still see the skinny one as tree number 1. It's like it was pulled all the way down. Then the other one had to be wedged over top to hold it down. So now you got tree number 2, which is the strongest and the biggest. So what's tree number 3? Tree number 3, oh man.
Trying to decipher tree structures in the forest, like some kind of CSI exercise, can be compelling.
Okay, so now, here we go. Here's a tree that's in the middle. It's in the middle of the structure. Where's the root system? That's missing the roots. That's jammed in there. That's not. Okay, so this tree, in its position, like that, like I would make a shelter of sorts, in between the weave, very old, obviously, same age as the rest of the trees here, and there's no root structure. That is jammed in there. There's no roots underneath it. In fact, my fingers felt basically a rock. There's a rock there. So if it was part of a snowfall and it fell like this and landed, you trace it down, the root structure's there. Maybe twist, maybe broken, maybe bent, whatever, but it's there. In this case, there's no root structure. It's just jammed in there. Okay, now you got me. This one, being potentially done by an adolescent, is perhaps the most intricate we've seen so far. This was the structure that's blowing my mind. Whoever this kid is, he's a little bit of an artist.
I would say welcome to Bigfoot country.
Bigfoot country indeed. If you come here and travel through this kind of area and ask yourself the question, could an intelligent bipedal ape-like creature exist here undetected, with enough intelligence to have its own abstract mandate of staying hidden from humans, yet curious enough to be responsible for thousands of anecdotal references? Then you have an interesting question indeed. One that perhaps real science should either prove out or put an end to as a myth once and for all.
So this is flood damage, but you'll never see a tree break, even in this.
Yeah. So now, this is all natural. No one's trying to conjecture that they bent all of these over to warn you or to mark their territory. This is all very clearly natural. The avalanche and/or water. Here's a question for you. Why no tree breaks on this trail, since it's obviously a maintained hiking trail?
What you're seeing is breaks on the fringes of their territory. We're not in the fringes, we're in their territory now.
Has Todd spent the majority of his last 10 years of adult life building all of this as a hoax? Why? So he can get on TV? Maybe become famous? The more I spend time with him, the more I doubt the possibility that anyone would go to this much trouble just to make a hoax.
This is the spot?
Yeah.
This is where you were hanging out for the night and they came in?
That's
all
right.
around?
That's right.
And you lit the flare?
That's right.
And had a bit of a panic attack?
Yeah, they were right on top of me here.
Damn it.
And what they were doing is, they were staying a good 20 yards away from me at all times. But, they were stomping, they were growling, there was no whooping, it was all aggressive sound. You get to a point where you shut off. It's too much panic, it's too much. I just shut right down. I fully went into shock, and that was it. Shut right down. There's no calm when there's 6 or 7 Bigfoot running around you, stomping in the woods, and I was screaming at them. Mm-hmm. Get out of here! Like I was yelling, like my voice went hoarse, because I was just terrified. So, and they were doing run-bys from multiple directions. I would be here and I'd be standing up, And I'd hear one come running by this way, another one come running by that way. It was so strategic, everything they did. They were just totally owning me.
Ha! Damn it! Ha! Get! Ah! Get out of here! Get! Ha! Ha! You want some? Ha! Yeah! Ha! Bitch! Yeah! Yeah! Yeah!
So it was a brutal night.
When Todd first showed me his various bits of video footage, some of it was suspect. Some of it was blood-curdling. And some of it left no doubt that to view it left you with only one of two options. Either he's a fraud and has dedicated his life to being such, or what he has is real. If it's the latter, well, that's just no small thing. I question why I myself would volunteer to have this same experience.
See those trees up the top? That's where we're gonna go across and sit on the ledge over there. And where they'll come is that peak. We're gonna give them that high ground, and they can come down to the peak and have a look at us.
Tree break.
Pointed in the right direction?
Yep, went into the trail. So you have me knowingly violating the Sasquatch code
Correct.
on their territory, home turf.
Yep.
Who's in for? What's the sound we're listening for now?
Boom, boom, boom. That
The deep sound like I felt when I was down in the Nordegg alone that night.
That's right. Yeah. It's really, really powerful.
You can't almost hear it, but you can feel it.
That's right. Exactly. If you're lucky, you'll hear 3 steps. Boom, boom, boom. That's it. The newest tree break that I know of is this one. Problem I have with this is where I snuck in to film one of my videos. This is the exact trail I use. And about 4 years ago, I came to come back through here, and this was there. Coincidence? So, if you'd been here in the spring and came back fall and you saw this,
Yeah, no way.
so I'd like to put some more apples on it.
Bring some?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Placing apples and other food items out in the forest is a well-known method of Bigfoot enthusiasts for making interaction possible. Trees broken in a seemingly systematic way. Teepee-like structures that don't seem natural. Massive human-like footprints found by hundreds of people in remote areas. Reports of grunting, screaming, rock throwing, even sightings. DNA samples taken in North America and confirmed to be of unknown primate origin. It's all kind of overwhelming. But we don't have a body, and we don't even have clear and clean high-definition video footage. Yet. That's why I'm here.
Yeah, see, look at this. Now here's a spot here Todd and I have just found that grabbed our attention right away. And, oh, magnificent, right? You got the tangle. You know, is this gonna be a structure? And you know what we both think? Not a chance. This is classic snow load. And yeah, there's a couple in some different directions, but if you look at the way it all is, just this mess of trees that have come down, it's all just pushed over. What's significant here is the base of the trees. Now, every time Todd points out a tree structure, the base of the trees, it's like they're all over nicely or snapped off. And look at the difference. Look at the bases of these trees here. Nothing at all like the tree structures that Todd and I have been looking at. This looks more classic, like snow came in, weighed them all down heavy, and they all toppled over in this direction, taking a few more with them. So if you start to wonder and you know, at the power of suggestion with the structures that we look at, now you come here and you go, okay, snow load, guaranteed. It's one of those things. You can see it. It's easily explained. This is easily explained. What we've been looking at is not easily explained.
Is it Sasquatch or human hoaxes? They can hoax aliens and crop circles, but that doesn't disprove them. And until we have a body frozen and accepted by public science as being perhaps a Gigantopithecus, Bigfoot will be in the same category as aliens and crop circles. But let's give their existence the benefit of doubt. What would they eat? What's available in large amounts enough to survive on? There's massive grizzlies surviving out here, and they seem to do well enough.
Kind of changed up my scope here and headed down. There's a river here. Actually, it's the Kootenay River. And salmon running up here all the time. And that kind of changes the game a bit. With a really good source of freshwater salmon, it's a good, solid supply of food for large carnivores. The grizzlies are going to come down here, obviously, eagles, and anything else that might be hungry. I really only have one option while working with Todd, and that's to trust him, give him my respect, and stay with an open mind. Of course I'm a skeptic. Of course I can see holes in certain things, and I challenge him when that happens. But I have to make sure that I don't fall prey to any power of suggestion. Now, for Todd, whatever he sees Bigfoot. When he hears things, he hears Bigfoot. And he's very zoned in on it. But how else are you going to study and research something if you do not nearly obsess about it? So many researchers in the past have been able to do that, and they've unearthed incredible discoveries as a result. Todd believes and hopes that he's in that arena, that he's about to unearth a most incredible discovery. In his mind, and from what he's been able to see and experience, there is no question. So it's a done deal in his mind. But there are those of you, maybe many of you, who say, are you kidding me? There is no species to research. There's a bunch of trees that have been pushed over by snow, and humans have made a couple of snaps and things, and the rest of the stuff is all a hoax. That doesn't explain the rest of the story. Because if everybody's hoaxing, then there are tens of thousands of people hoaxing. And if all tracks are fake, then there are hundreds and hundreds of incidents of tracks being cast and found that are fake in the middle of nowhere. So let's just keep an open mind, and I'll keep Todd's trust so that we can delve deeper. For me, I gotta see it with my own eyes.
When it comes to Bigfoot, seeing definitely is believing. For this elusive creature, going in deep to its territory and allowing myself to become vulnerable so that they feel they have the advantage is going to be key.
So Todd and I are going to take it pretty easy tonight. Tomorrow's the big day. I'm gonna go straight up to the top of the mountain. This is the area where he has claimed to have seen a lot of Bigfoot. Figures it's their home territory. And we'll head up there tomorrow, see what we can find.
It's an aggressive move. It places me right in their path at the edge of what could be their home territory. What's important to remember here is that anyone who studies Sasquatch takes it seriously, and gaining their trust enough to let you into their prized hotspot means going in with an open mind. I've made it clear to my Bigfoot tracker, Todd Standing, that I'll remain a skeptic until my own experience teaches me otherwise.
Overnight, it's turned cold on us. There's snow up in the areas where we want to go. It's going to be about a 7-hour climb up the mountain. First part's not so bad. A couple hours sort of only almost straight up. and then 3-4 hours of straight up. You want to get answers, you gotta go the distance.
From my days working as a wildlife videographer, I know that this is the effort required if I want to get the great footage.
This is not really about exploring the unknown. This is more about researching a species that he already knows exists. He's seen them on multiple occasions, experienced them many times, so there's a different approach to how we come out here. If you think along the lines of what Diane Fossey did or Jane Goodall, this is research. And it's about bringing proof to the world, too. Proof that the world will accept.
This research may not be as paranormal as you might think. Doctors, scientists, and primatologists all over the world are taking this subject very seriously. Just ask renowned anthropologist, primatologist, and UN Messenger of Peace, Jane Goodall, what she thinks about the subject. Her answer may surprise you.
Gigantopithecus. That's who we're seeking to have contact with. To help prove Todd's claims that they are real, they exist, they thrive, and they need to be protected. But they don't make it easy.
For our night at the top of the mountain, we're going in with only small rations and a simple overnight bag.
The temperatures dropped significantly since yesterday, so the climb's gonna make us warm, but also sweaty, and that's a dangerous situation to be in, because you sweat, you die.
Todd found this location by being forced higher and higher up the mountain by a grizzly bear. It stalked him and pursued him, eventually cornering him so that his only escape was to slowly and cautiously move to high ground. Once he found a steep rock face, he climbed up it in the hope that there was no way around the bear could follow. There were several ways around, but for some reason, the grizzly refused to follow him to this part of the mountain.
From this point on, Todd and I are completely alone. The crew that's been filming us and following us to get in this far can't come across. They head back. Todd and I, we go up. This is it.
This area is rumored to be a secret location where conservation officers drop off all the rogue and problem bears and mountain lions that have found their way into towns. It's never admitted to publicly. On a philosophical level, I need to go in with a split mind. One with real intention of a humble attempt for contact. In other words, I can't be too threatening or nothing will happen. And yet on a practical level, this is real wilderness, and I need to look after myself and make sure it doesn't become some kind of survival ordeal I hadn't prepared for.
Anything could happen up here. All that would have to happen is Todd were to snap an ankle. That's it. Blow out a knee. So I've got to stop and look. And you know what? The biggest thing on moving forward for survival is looking backwards. Because when you got to come out, it doesn't look like what you've been seeing all day long. And you have to have that in your brain. So I'm looking back here. First thing I'm doing is that big, beautiful mountain stream, I'm placing that in my mind. Because I know that 100 yards or so off to the left, I go down. That's where roughly I came in. I've got to do these pinpoints because if it's me that has to come out of here, and maybe in a hurry, I gotta know my way. What I like to say all the time is, you can trust your guide, and Todd's my guide, but don't rely on him. Rely on myself. That's survival.
Stopping frequently to check out potential tracks and signs, this journey will take us all day and should see us making it to the top just before night falls. Though I prefer to go in alone, this time Todd will stay with me to show me the way. We can mark it as a spot that I can return to spend an extended period of time to either rule out or confirm Todd's claims.
So you heard bump, 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 bump. Is there steps? Steps. It's those big, powerful steps that you saw on the ground? Did you hear that? That was rock knocking. You're never gonna hear that again. You gotta really listen. It was clack, clack with rocks. Whoop.
Whooping, whistling, banging rocks. According to Todd, these are all ways to communicate. Again, to assume this creature exists at all is to assume that it has a high level of intelligence. Probably the closest thing to a human in existence. If it is in existence. If I sound more agnostic than skeptical, it's because never before has there been a more perplexing subject matter when it comes to life on Earth. According to hundreds of Aboriginal cultures throughout the world, Sasquatch, Bigfoot, Yeti, perhaps the Pithecus, is real, and its existence is simply taken for granted. They don't question it, but they do respect it, either out of fear or out of reverence. And so their stories of interaction with the legend are numerous. Yet somewhere in all of this, there has to be science. Cold, hard, scientific fact.
That's one of the best tracks we've seen yet. It's right in line two coming up here, right? Look at that. Look at the toes. Okay, I'll do my foot test. Like, look at that. I did nothing.
That's a real heavy animal.
Can you see toes?
I can feel the toe prints. It's like using the, it's like using the toes to push yourself up, right?
That's right, yeah. Left foot,
Yeah.
right foot indentation.
You thinking grizzly or
I'm thinking Bigfoot. Grizzlies don't walk in a bipedal stride like that. Watch me take this step without grabbing on anything. See, that's a big step.
It's a huge human stride, that's right.
Look at the indentation. Let's do the ground test here.
Yeah, there's no way I can't make that kind of an impression.
Even to be honest, even a grizzly bear.
I was just about to say, even a grizzly is not gonna make that kind of impression because that's just softer footed, you know?
These are two examples of Todd's video footage of a Sasquatch. The first one, a creature simply standing up from behind a rock, is footage that 4 self-proclaimed Bigfoot experts said was a fake. The second one is of a Bigfoot running away up a steep hill in strides that no man can match.
And you're hiking up a hill, you don't take strides like that. Human beings do not take strides like that up a hill.
Yeah. Whatever made this impression here had to be seriously heavy. Wow.
So here we have as you can see, a nicely aged piece of wood that's really, really solid. And you see a break right there. And a partial footprint right in front of it. From a heavy strike.
All right.
So I would surmise that it was a heel that hit that, and the front toe part did that smash into the ground there.
Yeah, that's not a human weight's not going to break that like that, not a chance. And I don't see any big boulders down below it or anything like that.
So this would be actual toes, like I can see there. Beautiful, beautiful track.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite ever. Really impressive.
You can see the toe prints.
Yeah.
Todd once sent me a video clip that stopped me in my tracks. Again, one must allow that it could be faked. But the ominous question once you see it is, what if it's not? There can only be one answer.
That 5-year-old that I was talking about earlier was standing just outside of the shadows of those rocks. And I was coming down this way, and I was just coming over this log. I jumped over the log, and I had a funny feeling. I turned back and looked, and I saw something blending with the rocks, but it was so jet black. The eyes and the hair, everything, the lips, was as black as I'd ever seen anything. So I looked at it and I thought, that's kind of odd. And the hair was standing up on the back of my neck, and I tried to be rational and calm about it. So I took a couple steps, and then I saw a really quick blink. Then I got really nervous because, wow, it's like seeing a grizzly bear cub or a black bear cub. There's a baby here. Where's mom and dad? So I took about 6 or 7 steps, looked back, and it hadn't moved a millimeter. Still just there looking at me. And I waited about a minute till it blinked again, and I was like, that was a blink, that's not a rock. But he was just really calm, very curious, and very confident. He wasn't afraid of me at all. And I believe that's the same guy that I'm having all these encounters with and doing all this stuff.
Hoax or real? It's your call. You know that saying, you can't unsee something? Todd is only unusual in that he has video footage that leaves no doubt. It's either fake or real. But thousands of other people have stories of encounters even more spectacular than Todd's. Are they all faking it? Or is it some kind of mass hallucination? The answer is up there.
Todd and I have made it to the top now. This will be base camp now. It's where he's had a lot of activity, a lot of interaction. We'll do the night up here.
That was not here 2 or 3 weeks ago. And it looks new. It wasn't here before. There's no way.
That mark there is, Todd's pretty confident was not there the last time he was up on the top here. That doesn't look like a bear at all. It's just a gouge out of the tree.
I put my apples up as high as I could reach over here. Obviously, because this looks really significant to me.
2 large trees here that, I mean, significantly large trees. And they're placed in a position leaning up against a tree that was obviously growing here. Yeah. Yep, those are not, they did not grow here, that's for sure. These trees did not grow here. And they're huge. I mean, I wouldn't put this onto, I would never accuse Todd of having put these trees there. That's just not feasible. On the top of the mountain. The man did this. Must have been a couple of bighorn sheep.
After a day of climbing up into the hills, I've made it to where Todd Standing claims is Bigfoot territory. With the sun dropping at our base camp near the top, we already get our first action.
We just very clearly heard a fairly higher pitched squeal or sort of whoop in behind us and a knock down below us. Todd, I heard it.
Let's get you to that hoop, please.
You want me to hoop?
Oh, absolutely. Nice and loud. Loud as you can do it.
We're just sitting here talking, just talking. And all of a sudden, we're hearing hoop in behind me and a hoop down below us. Todd says he heard a knock. So up above us, there's a whole other, for lack of a better term, forest, tree line. And all of Todd's experiences here on this spot, they've come down from there. And I definitely just heard a sound that I can't explain. Actually, a couple of them. Todd is saying is that they won't show themselves yet. He figures it's going to be a nighttime contact. And they'll come within about 70 yards and make some sounds. And then they're like, at all, we can pull out the infrared light and we can see that far.
I have strong night vision scopes and infrared lights, giving us a viewing distance much farther than normal cameras would allow. Gigantopithecus, according to modern yet anecdotal claims, are nocturnal. So it's nighttime when the best action should happen. Like I've said so many times, they don't make it easy. There are no real great video clips, simply because everyone is trying to film something that doesn't want to be filmed. Vulnerability, not hubris, is the only tactic that will enable humans to find Bigfoot.
So we've been a couple hours without a lot going on. Windy and cold up here though, but no reason why we can't get a fire, sort of just hunker down a bit. We're gonna get a fire going now, see how long we can keep it burning, and watch the dark come in. And with the dark, maybe a lot more will come in.
We didn't believe that giant squids existed either. Then we found one. Is proving out Gigantopithecus only a matter of time for modern scientists?
Wind's really blowing up too, eh?
Yeah, but it's really that time. If we wait another 10 minutes, it can be really black.
As the night falls, my own sense of why I am here and doing this becomes veiled by the darkness. Have I too fallen prey to the power of suggestion? Has my memory of my own experiences hearing bizarre sounds in the wilderness been embellished over time into something it never was?
Okay, so I just heard the strangest sound. It was like someone taking a couple of rocks and just banging them together really fast. And then just like a sound of something substantial just in the bush. And we're talking about maybe 20 feet away from me. But either way, what I just heard was loud, distinct. Also interesting to note that it was down from me. It was in the lower position. And I know that Todd feels when they take a lower position, they're getting very brave. I don't know what time it is, but it's pre-dawn. And I'm just gonna lie here and see what else happens. That's crazy.
There's only one answer. There's no in-between. I need that answer. And I know where to find it. It's out here, in the dark of remote wilderness. So that's where I'll keep going, until I have my answer.